Welcome back to this edition of the Taiwan Outlook. We're going to continue in this segment with our conversation with Professor Lan-hung Nora Chiang of the National Taiwan University. And we're going to continue to focus on Professor Chiang's research. Especially, I'm very interested in the term that you coined, so-called 探妻妈妈. The mother or astronaut's wife, astronaut's mother, flying back and forth between the host country and their native country, and performing different functions and different roles, and also fulfilling the responsibilities that they have, whether as a mother, whether as a daughter-in-law, or whether as a daughter. I want to talk about that group a little bit, Professor Chiang, if I may, by asking you first, what are the kinds of problems or difficulties that you have seen in terms of this group's particular adjustment process in terms of adapting and assimilating into the host country?
Yeah, you notice that in my paper, actually, I have written about, I call them 单妻妈妈.
单妻妈妈.
Right,
okay.
in Australia.
Okay.
Actually, I did not intend to study these people until I find that it is very common. And later I did another research in Canada, in Vancouver and Toronto. And well, the problem of adjustment, I guess at first they were working. Most of them were working in Taiwan before.
In Taiwan, yes.
Right. So after they immigrated, they give up work. They give up work.
Of
that
course.
is paid work.
Yes.
And they more or less help the husband to adapt, but the husband very quickly returned to Taiwan.
Probably easier to find jobs in Taiwan and continue with their career. Yes.
Yes, to continue, for example, for the husband to continue to be a dentist, to be an entrepreneur, to be a manager of a big factory. And the mother, because the original purpose, one of the purpose of going abroad is to have the children receive an education, tertiary education, to enter a good school in Australia or Canada. So these mothers stay behind with the children or with the child and take care of the house, doing a lot of household work on the Australian side, and making sure that the children are adapting well, hiring bushi teachers.
Of course.
In computer science, in math, in English especially, and making sure that the children, when the school finished at 3:30, for example, in Canada, that the children would go to these different classes. So these women are very diligent and really surprises the Canadian family that, your family has to go to school after our school.
So,
right.
I mean, I would suppose that some of the experiences they have in the host country will be similar to what they have back in, Taiwan. For example, you also pick up your children here in Taiwan after 3:30. You probably send them off to tutor different classes and subjects. But some of the other experiences are very different. Like you said, some of these women, mothers, they were career women when in Taiwan. And when they move overseas, they have to give up their careers and then be, maybe a full-time mother. And that is quite a huge adjustment. How do you think these mothers or these women are, reacting to that? Are they accepting, the different choices in life, or do they have a lot of regrets, a lot of what if? In their life, what if things have turned out differently? Do you find that common among these astronaut mothers?
Yeah, actually, I find both. That is happy. They are somehow liberated from some patriarchal family responsibility.
Yes.
That is, they can have their guaranteed nuclear family when they're abroad. They don't have to live with elderly back in Taiwan. And of course, some of them did say that they're not sure if this is the right thing to do. They do puzzle. So I would say they have an ambivalent attitude.
Okay.
If the children do well, then it is worthwhile. And if the children cannot adapt and also fail in school, then they are really they have this extra stress. And then, of course, they miss the husband. They worry about their husbands if their husbands maybe also lonely back in Taiwan.
Yeah, need an emotional outlet.
Yeah, right. And but I do find that they fill their life with a lot of activities.
Yes.
That they not only take care of their own household, they join a lot of activities.
Okay.
And most of them are organized by Taiwanese.
Oh, really?
Yes.
So they still stay within the confined environment of the Taiwanese community, or do they try to reach out to the mainstream and join the other community groups?
Well, I wish that they would not be confined. I find that the longer they stay, the better they are in going out.
Yeah, the outreach is better. Yeah.
Yes, they would. Some of them who never went to church probably attend a church and become Christians.
Okay.
In Canada, I heard this again and again.
Yes.
The church have helped them to meet other Taiwanese and other nationalities. They went to English schools, so they met people who were also trying to polish the English.
Yes.
And they also joined the community services. I remember there were several active groups in Toronto that introduces the Asian market. And I think the most wonderful thing they have done is to portray Taiwanese culture.
Okay.
Most of these people who organize the Taiwan Cultural Festival in Canada are done by women.
Really? Quite impressive.
Yes, very impressive.
Yes.
And recently, they have won prizes from Canadian government. Actually, this is a big award given to the ethnic community.
Okay.
They have won the award for the 6th time.
Okay.
So by being a participant observation, apart from interviewing them, I find that they are so dedicated to this festival. So it is happening every year from now on.
Okay, that's very good.
In this way, they can also invite other Canadians to participate and see what Taiwan culture is like.
Okay, so there is a social support mechanism helping them to adjust and adapt to the new environment. But one very interesting and very intriguing point that you raised earlier is regarding the kinds of freedom and autonomy that they get from moving away from their native country to the host country. Maybe for most women, in their cases would be moving away from the in-laws, or like you said, the patriarch family that they had in Taiwan. Do you still find that to be the case with most of these astronaut wives? Or do they don't think of that as so much of an attraction anymore, and they are fully capable of adjusting their roles to both places?
Well, I guess some of these are personal reasons that they don't reveal to me at first. So after 1 or 2 times chatting with them, and because my way of interviewing is like making friends with these people. Actually, I have stayed overnight several times with these families.
But Professor Chiang, you're very personable, so people are easy to open up to you. Yes.
Well, when I have an invitation, I always say yes. So I don't even have to bring my pillow. I just bring my toothbrush.
Okay.
So I was very grateful to these women I interview, and they say that, well, one of them said to me, for example, I am so happy we solved the problem between myself and my mother-in-law. Then my husband is very happy that now I'm in another country. So for a short while, I guess she find the solution. And well, as a woman myself, and have written many papers on women. I was actually doing a lot of women's studies in Taiwan too.
Exactly. Yes.
I see that this is a familiar role that women perform, and it is very hard to reach the expectation of the elderly.
Of course.
Sometimes we cannot please our own parents. So maybe this is one reason. One of the reasons is to be away from the bondage of the patriarchal family.
Yes.
And in the meantime, they are forging bonds among themselves. That these women become very good friends over the years. So they are not that lonesome, actually, in our imagination. They live in these gated communities where they have access to many supplies, Taiwanese food, friends who speak Taiwanese. And but I do find that it's not very good to be living like a Taiwanese all their life, for example, in Australia. Actually, one can if one want to. You have been to Los Angeles or San Francisco.
Of course.
You do find that some people never speak a second dialect, not even English, which is the mother tongue of the whole society. So I do hope that in future these women would really step out. And I have seen some people doing that. They have friends who are speaking English and other foreign languages. They meet other nationalities, and it's a very good exposure to globalism.
Yes, and the point you just raised about people, immigrants, staying with their own communities. I think one joke that I picked up when I was going to school in the U.S. was the fact that there are a lot of young immigrants from Taiwan moving to cities like L.A. And they stay with their Taiwanese friends, and they eat Taiwanese foods, read Taiwanese books and newspapers. And after a while, they're staying, even though they are in the U.S. physically, but they're not assimilating into the mainstream culture. So after a while, Mandarin Chinese is getting better. They've started picking up Cantonese and learning Taiwanese dialect in the process, but in the end, they forgot how to speak English.
This could happen. Yes.
Does that happen with some of these people that you've interviewed?
Well, in social geography term, we call the social embeddedness.
Oh, okay.
That is, they are embedded in their own culture.
In there, yes.
And I'm afraid this is so natural. Even if you look at some people from Hong Kong, they do the same.
That's right.
And recently, mainland Chinese. So one is tempted to find the easy way to speak to people within the comfort zone.
Yeah.
So recently, when my students asked me to advise or suggest which university
to go to for advanced studies,
I said, well, are you still thinking of Berkeley? There's so many Asians there.
That's right.
UCLA or USC.
Yeah.
So it's hard now to find a university.
I think that also depends on the person, the personality, whether it's able to help the person, he or she, assimilate better into the mainstream. Well, next we're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back to the Taiwan Outlook, and we're going to continue our conversation with Professor Nora Chiang and talk about the life and the difficulties of Taiwanese immigrants.